Coming up, towards a greener and sustainable planet, Ghana kickstarts round 2 of Green Ghana, a project to plant 20 million trees.
Forces from Ghana, the United States, Senegal, Morocco and Tunisia to receive training in counter-terrorism.
Creative Arts Minister tasked to increase tourism receipts to $4 billion by 2024.
And US to drop COVID test requirements for air travelers.
Good evening and welcome to the Green Ghana Day edition of News Hour. We are live on GTV and GBC News. My name is Clara Lan.
Hello, good evening. I'm Siyoko Kwakutre, and with us to do the sign language interpretation is Robert Frimpong Manso.
It's our first story. The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, on Friday morning symbolically planted the first tree to set in motion Ghana's ambitious plan to plant 20 million trees across the country. Nana Akufo-Addo was at the Ifa Sutherland Park in Accra early in the morning.
As he recounted the importance of the forest to human survival, he said the country in the last decade lost 100,000 acres of forest cover, a worrying development necessitating immediate action to leave posterity a greener and sustainable planet.
The agenda to plant 20 million trees across the country, according to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, is to stop the substantial decline of the country's forest cover. From data, Ghana has lost 80% of her forest cover since 1900, and in the last decade, 100 acres of her forest cover. This massive loss is what this drive with the theme Mobilizing for a Greener Future seeks to halt through an aggressive afforestation and reforestation across the country. In 2021, 7 million trees were planted, and for 2022, the effort is being stepped up to 20 million trees. 50% of the trees will be planted in the forest cover and 50% in off-forest cover areas. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapo, said the Let's Go Planting initiative is to seal the future of the country's forest cover and save it for future generations.
The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and its agencies have adopted a two-pronged approach. The first approach is to protect our existing forest and wildlife resources by halting deforestation. Our second approach to the management of the forest and wildlife resources of our country is an aggressive afforestation and reforestation program to complement the work we are doing to halt deforestation.
The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, was not happy at the rapid depletion of the forest through various human activities and called on all to support the efforts to green the country, which is the source of life and employment for many.
We are embarked on an aggressive afforestation and reforestation program aimed at restoring our lost forest cover and halting the current rate of deforestation. It is in this respect that I call on each and every one of you, whether you are a Ghanaian or not, insofar as you are in Ghana, to join us today to plant at least 20 million trees. I call on members of parliament, members of corporate Ghana, traditional leaders, entrepreneurs, teachers, nurses, doctors, lawyers, judges, workers, farmers, bankers, students, religious leaders, traders, civil servants, public servants, members of the diplomatic corps, and indeed every person living in Ghana, as well as those visiting Ghana on Green Ghana Day, to help us plant these trees. Together, let's build a future for current and future generations of Ghanaians and mankind.
The tree seedlings for this project include native timber tree species, shade trees, multi-purpose leguminous trees, ornamentals, and fruit trees.
The world is at its tipping point, feared to reach a 2.3 degrees Celsius temperature by 2050, other than the targeted 1.5 degrees. Dignitaries across the country, including members of the diplomatic corps, Asantehene Otumfuo Seitu, the chief imam, former president Kufuor, lent a hand by planting a tree to avert a catastrophe due to climate change.
Participating in the second edition of the Green Ghana Day exercise is a call to duty to save the planet for mankind. The effect of the phenomenon impacts the whole world, hence the decision of the diplomatic corps to actively plant a tree today which they may never sit under but rather for posterity. Supported by the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapo, Chief Executive of the Forestry Commission, Mr. John Alote, WIPA Authority and others, the diplomatic corps planted species like the tree of life, coconut, pear, mahogany and others.
So happy to be today again in this Green Day of Ghana, and especially after I saw what we did last year. It gives an emotion to see that you plant trees and they grow, and this is part of your own love for the land.
In Kumasi, Asantehene and Vodafone Ghana undertook the national exercise at some selected senior high schools and health facilities, which includes the Kumasi Senior High School, Asanteman SHS Kumasi, Wesley Girls Senior High, Kumasi Academy and Tafo Government Hospital. The exercise was under the Otumfuo Seitu Foundation, where they planted economic trees for environmental sustainability. From the legislature, members of the House, led by the Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Bagbin, planted trees on the precincts of Parliament. Speaker Mr. Alban Bagbin planted a deep-rooted tree, popularly called the Tree of Life. The Majority Chief Whip, Mr. Frank Anodompre, planted one on behalf of the First Deputy Speaker, Mr. Joseph Osewusu, while the Second Deputy Speaker, Mr. Andrew Isiama Mwakon, planted another. The First Deputy Minority Whip, Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, also planted a tree on behalf of the Minority Leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu. Launching the exercise, the Chief of Defence Staff, Vice Marshal Seth Amwama, charged the officers, especially the garrison unit, to participate fully and take care of the trees to ensure they grow properly. The Chief of Army Staff and Air Vice Marshal, including other senior officers, turned up to plant a tree to mark the occasion.
Though frail from age, the Chief Imam Sheikh Osman Nuhu Shaributu and former President J.A. Kufuor made the initiative top priority by joining tree planters in the central region to plant trees to leave a safe environment for generations unborn. An advocate of tree planting himself, the Ochehene Osajifo Amwetio Foripenyin led a delegation to a designated site for the exercise, together with the Member of Parliament for Ibuakwa South constituency, Mr. Atachia. They planted trees in the Achime-Ibuakwa traditional area. The Ochehene said the ravaging effects of climate change on the environment places more responsibility on Ghanaians to prioritize tree planting to restore Ghana's lost vegetative cover. Already, the Ochehene is embarking on a 3-year project to plant 25 million trees across all towns and villages within the Achime-Ibuakwa traditional area.
Now some excerpts from the exercise in the southern part of the country.
Planting under the theme, Mobilizing for a Greener Future, the Chief Executive of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Mr. Benjamin Alpha, called on Ghanaians to support the initiative and play lead roles to protect the environment. The Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, in the company of heads of departments and agencies, jointly performed a ceremonial tree planting exercise in the whole municipality of the Volta region. The region targeted to plant at least about 500,000 trees as part of the effort to green Ghana. Dr. Archibald Lecha urged the public and especially students in the region to make tree planting a daily habit to protect the depleting vegetation cover in the region. Taking delivery of some 500 trees, a Deputy Minister for Communication and Digitalization, Ms. Ama Poma Boateng, says the ministry and allied agencies planted within the office premises and Medina. She noted that most of the raw materials used in digitalization, such as cutting down of trees, contribute to climate change, and so the ministry is fully supporting the initiative to preserve the environment. The Port Enclave was the planting center for the Ministry of Transport and the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, GPHA. The GPHA is greening the port as part of the Green Ghana campaign. The Minister for Transport, Mr. Kweku Siama, management of the port and other partners planted more than 1,000 tree seedlings within the enclave. At Dunkwao Onofing in the Upper Dentra East Municipality of the Central Region, the manager of the Dunkwa District Forestry Commission, Mr. Maxwell Otienjekum, urged partners in all sectors to ensure that seedlings planted this year as part of Green Ghana project are nurtured. With a total of 200,000 seedlings of various tree species in the Dunkwa District Forestry Commission, 50,000 seedlings were planted in the forest reserve, while 150,000 seedlings were planted in off-forest reserve. The Member of Parliament for Upper Dentra East, Dr. Festus Iwakofi, and the Dentra Abakuman Hene, Nana Jechienim, also participated in the exercise. The executives of the Ghana Journalists Association also planted trees at the press center. The Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, Professor Amin Al-Hassan, joined the media fraternity in the exercise.
We at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation have joined the GJA to mark this day by planting trees around our house, the International Press Center. The idea is to ensure that we send a message loud and clear to all media practitioners across the country. This greening of Ghana is something that is our own, and everybody should embrace it. And we are very happy to be associated with greening Ghana.
Still in the southern sector, there's a new breath of life in the Chipa Forest Reserve at Kodiape in the Dangbe West District of the Greater Accra region on Friday. Staff of the Forestry Commission planted different tree species in the reserve as part of the national efforts to plant 10 million trees in forest reserves and 10 million other locations.
In recent times, the Chipa Forest Reserve has suffered at the hands of encroachers, sand winning and felling of trees, all leading to the depletion of the reserve. With a size of about 2,400 hectares, the reserve inhabits some acacia, neem, mahogany and acacia trees and animals. To help avert further destruction, some 1,011 trees, including Senna siami, mahogany and acacia trees, were planted within the reserve. The Forestry Commission partnered Car Power, Total Ghana and New Star to revamp the place.
If you look at the whole planting that was done, it was 85% that was good. So we had only 15% that we didn't get it grow. But the Forestry Commission, we have something called beating up. So when a plant doesn't grow, doesn't mean that that's it. We always replace the plants that did not grow and ensure that they grow to its matured stage.
Exceeding its target of 750,000 distribution of seedlings and distributing more than 900,000 seedlings across the region, the exercise first began with a float through the principal street of Koforidua to increase awareness and sensitize the public to the need to plant trees to help prevent climate change. The region's planting was done in reserved areas as per this year's guide for proper monitoring. The regional minister, Mr. Seta Champon, urged the public to play a watchdog role over the trees planted. Still in the eastern region, the Department of Parks and Gardens under the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development also planted trees at the Ebri Botanical Gardens. Sector Minister Mr. Dan Botwe and his deputies, traditional leaders, students from Ebri Girls, Diaspora and Adontin Girls Senior High Schools, and the acting director of the Department of Parks and Gardens, Reverend Charles Okai, all participated. The boss of the Lands Commission, Mr. James Dyson, and his staff also planted trees at the Lands Commission Annex in Jolo. As an agency with oversight responsibility of the country's lands, they pledged to up their game to protect the remaining areas for generations to come. The roads sector also took part in the national project to keep the planet cooler and safer. Sector Minister Mr. Kwesi Amwakwata led his ministry staff to plant on their compound to mitigate the impact of climate change.
Mobilizing to plant over 20 million tree species toward a greener future. Through the Green Ghana agenda, Ghanaians up north fully participated in the exercise to be part of history. Here are highlights.
The Bui Power Authority planted 20,000 tree seedlings. Staff of the BPA were joined by personnel of the Ghana Fire Service and school children from the resettlement communities on Green Ghana Day. The Director of Occupational Health, Safety and Environment, Mr. Chris Santos Kunifa, said the trees will complement the over 400 trees planted each year under the Forest Resources Enhancement Program of the Bui Power Authority. In the northern region, residents were asked to refrain from indiscriminate bush burning, which could render the Green Ghana initiative an exercise in futility. A Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources in charge of mines, Mr. George Kujuka, speaking with GBC News in Tamale, disclosed that 1 billion trees of various species are to be planted in the region this year. The Upper West regional version of the project started in Wa, where the overlord of the Wala traditional area, Nafuseni Seidu Pelpo, symbolically planted a tree at the palace, known locally as Nairi.
Also in Wa, improving last year's target of 230,000 trees with 85% survival rate, this year's event had 600,000 trees planted on Friday. The Upper West Regional Minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh, urged the older generation to inculcate the idea of tree planting in younger people.
Away from Green Ghana stories, some 28 soldiers with their technical officers have been airlifted from the Air Force Base at Bema Camp in Accra to Agadia in Morocco. This is for the large-scale multinational counter-terrorism training exercise.
Under the exercise African Lion 2022, forces from Ghana, the United States, Senegal, Morocco and Tunisia will receive training in counter-terrorism. The Chief of Army Staff, Major Thomas Opon-Pepra, and the Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Frank Hansen, gave some encouragement to the squad.
Comport yourself very well, stay focused on what you're supposed to be doing, and ensure that you excel, as you did in UK and in Ivory Coast. I wish you well, and God bless you.
We believe that this armed forces of ours is a force for good. Thank you, and may God bless you. Aho! Aho! And good luck.
The collaboration with the U.S. Africa Command has the objective, amongst others, to improve army stability, to plan and conduct counter-violent extremist operations, improve air-to-ground integration between the Ghana Armed Forces and the Ghana Air Force, exposing troops to multinational operation training. The contingent will transit in Dakar, Senegal, and return on June 30, 2022. In a similar course, some 292 officers are taking the force's periodic promotional exam in current affairs and some rudimental subjects. The pass means candidates will be promoted from lieutenant and captain to major ranks.
The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has challenged the Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Mr. Ibrahim Awal, to increase tourism arrivals into the country to 2 million visits by 2024 and increase revenue to $4 billion when inaugurated the refurbished Ghana Museums and Monuments Board. The President said the investment being channeled to the sector must stimulate growth.
The National Museums and Monuments Board is a collection point for the nation's artifacts, history, behaviors and way of life. Refurbishment is to give the one-time deteriorating facility a facelift, make it safer and position it to play its important role in preserving the country's history and promoting her cultural heritage. In the now refurbished structure are the original and historical artifacts as well as the vehicles used by former presidents such as Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, President Jerry John Rawlings and John Ejekun Kufuor. They are a 1957 Cadillac model used by Ghana's first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, 3 Mercedes-Benz cars used by President Jerry John Rawlings and Mr. John Ejekun Kufuor. Also at the location is a Nissan Patrol used by President Rawlings, as well as a Toyota Land Cruiser also used by President John Ejekun Kufuor, and a V12 limousine. The directors of the Museums and Monuments Board say other vehicles used by other former presidents will be refurbished soon and sent there. Aside this, the entire roads in the facility have been fixed. The directors of the facility say all these and artifacts have been upgraded to preserve the history of Ghana and Africa to be told in a manner that inspires confidence. The acting executive director, National Museums and Monuments Board, Mr. Kingsley Ofosuntiamwa, was optimistic this will boost domestic tourism.
It is important to mention that museums offer spaces and opportunities for people to build their identities, culture, history, connect and interact with the spirit of their ancestors.
The Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Mr. Mohammed Awal, said the museum's refurbishment is a boost for the tourism sector. The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, said other museums will also be similarly renovated.
Government has committed $10 million United States dollars to rehabilitate and build a number of tourist and heritage attractions, including the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, the Cape Coast and Elmina Castles, the Menchia Palace Museum, the Biwa Palace Museum, and the Yah Santua Museum, among others.
Akufo-Addo challenged the Ministry of Tourism to put measures in place to improve on tourism visitation and receipts.
I'm throwing a challenge to the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture and its implementing agencies to achieve 2 million international arrivals by the year 2024, with a corresponding revenue of some $4 billion United States dollars. The Tourism Ministry should further create some 150,000 jobs through its activities annually, in line with my government's objective of providing jobs for our young people.
The Museums and Monuments Board has introduced an online platform for tourists to book and hopes to attract about 120,000 visits a year.
UNICEF and the Ghana Library Authority have opened 10 new engagement centers across the country. The purpose is to support at least 10,000 young Ghanaians aged between 14 and 24 years to develop digital and entrepreneurial skills by accessing online courses and training.
Considering the pivotal roles youth engagement centers play in youth development, Ghana Library Authority and UNICEF are making the centers freely accessible to the youth, coming at no charge to them. The centers will provide a safe and inclusive environment, physically and digitally, where young people, including disadvantaged groups, can create and collaborate on advocacy-related and entrepreneurial ideas. The Executive Director of the Ghana Library Authority, Mr. Hayford Sian, said engagement with the community, especially with young people, is critical for the success of the centers, and the Ghana Library Authority will establish young advisory boards to enable young people to participate in the co-creation of the different interventions within their centers and mobilize peers.
There's a need for more people trained in this area to meet the demand of the job market, and so these are IT support, project management, user experience design, and data analytics.
The UNICEF Deputy Representative in Ghana, Mr. Fiakra Makase, was hopeful that the library spaces will provide a new, innovative, and sustainable way to support young people in Ghana with skills and employability opportunities.
Be able to be engaged through technology or through guidance from the counselors who work here to direct them really in their pursuit of new learning.
The centers are located at Accra Central, Cape Coast, Diefutu Municipal, Sekondi, Kofodia, Wa, Bogatanga, and Tamale.
The Prison Ladies Association in Ghana has a new board. At its inauguration in Accra, the Director General of Prisons, DOP Isaac Kofi Ejir, encouraged the all-female association to put gender differences aside and work like their male counterparts in the service. The event was under the theme Leveraging the Female Human Capital, Strategic Development of Correctional Services, Empowerment for Mastery.
The 14-member board for the Prison Ladies Association in Ghana include DDP Gloria Isando, Superintendent Joyce Nyani, ASP Dora Ohinuwa Late, Superintendent Mabel Anibraka, CO Gifty Dello, ASP Sulemana Ashetu Hamidu, Superintendent Leonie Theris Eshan Mills, SCO Margaret Ofori, ASP Helen Abba Tete, ASP Sharon Agambari, CO Mary Gima, Sergeant Mary Esol Kwanza, and Sergeant Majesty Agbota. The Prison Ladies Association now has as its president DOP Patience Bafuboni. The Chaplain General of the Ghana Prisons Interdenominational Church, Reverend Canon Swelling Adamaukain, who brought the new executives into office, charged them to be fair and firm in all their dealings and decisions. He encouraged them to conduct themselves in a manner that would brighten the image of the prison service. The Director General of Prisons, DOP Isaac Kofi Ejiri, urged the prison ladies to break barriers by playing roles that have traditionally been monopolized by their male counterparts.
You're watching News live on GTV and GBC News. We'll be back shortly. Brought to you by MTN and QNet. Shareholders of Ecobank Ghana will earn 62 pesos per share of the pie they own in the Pan-African Bank. A total of 200 million cedis have been earmarked for the payments of dividend in the year under review. The development comes on the heels of a sterling performance which saw Ecobank Ghana net profit of 886,318 million cedis in 2021 as against 2020 figure of 773,737 million cedis.
This is the first in-person annual general meeting of Ecobank Ghana since 2020 when COVID-19 reared its ugly head. A review of the performance of the Pan-African Bank showed that revenue in 2021 jumped to 1.9 billion cedis compared with 1.8 billion cedis in 2020. With regards to total assets, it grew 17.8 billion cedis from 15.8 billion cedis, and loans and advances also increased to 5.6 billion cedis in the year under review as against 4.9 billion cedis in 2020. The chairman of Ecobank Ghana, Mr. Terence Ronaldo Dako, said the bank's balance sheet remained strong, growing from 15.95 billion cedis in 2020 to 17.93 billion cedis in 2021.
Our balance sheet remains strong, growing from 15.95 billion cedis in 2020 to 17.93 billion cedis in 2021. Customer deposits grew by 12% from 11.8 billion cedis in 2020 to 13.2 billion cedis in 2021. Your bank continues to be well capitalized with total equity of 2.7 billion cedis, which is amongst the highest in the industry.
The managing director of Ecobank Ghana, Mr. Daniel Saki, said the bank emerged as one of the most profitable banks in the country in the year under review, registering a profit before tax of 894 million cedis. This represents an increase of 14% growth.
We have the welfare of shareholders as our number one priority, and what we want to do is to ensure that the bank is that is consistent, to ensure the generation of sustainable returns on the investment that the shareholders have made in the bank. Our priority is to ensure that the returns that we generate are above the cost of equity. In that vein, we'll continue to focus on growing revenues, as I've said earlier on, and ensure that these returns at all times will be reasonable with a view to making sure that their investments are safe.
On corporate social responsibility, Ecobank Ghana, in its pursuit of protecting the environment, launched the digital waste collection platform to allow citizens to pay for waste services through USSD *887#. Also, it joined hands with ECOWAS to promote energy-efficient and climate-friendly domestic refrigerators. On the outlook, the Pan-African Bank says it hopes to build on the momentum of 2021 and make a steady progress despite the headwinds in the global financial market space.
And other ornamental plants beautify otherwise bland areas. Also, planting trees has a huge role to play in Ghana's drive towards reducing her carbon emissions, creating green jobs and boosting economic growth. The Minister for Foreign Affairs, Madam Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey, and her counterparts at the Finance Ministry, Mr. Ken Foriata, planted trees at their respective ministries today as part of the Green Ghana Day.
The city of Accra and most parts of the country have not been spared the wrath of climate change. This is due to the wanton destruction of the forest cover and other human-related activities such as illegal mining. In 2017, Global Forest Watch put the cost of environmental degradation in Ghana at $6.3 billion. And as part of measures to mitigate the impact of climate change on the country, government in 2021 instituted a Green Ghana Day to plant over 7 million trees. This year, 20 million trees are expected to be planted. Joining the campaign, the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Madam Shirley Ayoko-Botchwey, said the initiative will help reduce carbon emission, which has been threatening livelihoods, prevent erosion, and spare water bodies.
Every year, 20 million trees, say to me,
80% of trees are survive here. We all know what is happening with global warming, climate change issues. It's all around us to see. This for us is extremely important, and we are doing our bit to make the world a better place.
Marking the Green Ghana Day, the Minister for Finance, Mr. Ken Oforiatta, said there is the need to mobilize every resource to protect the ecology for future generations.
Ghana's holistic development risks being greatly impeded if we do not succeed in adopting a more sustainable, aggressive approach to the use and management of these precious resources, which are critical to our economic and fiscal well-being. Since 1960, average annual mean temperature has increased by 1 degree Celsius in Ghana. The average number of hot days has increased by 13%, while the number of hot nights per year increased by 20%.
Each of the 20 million trees planted today as part of the Green Ghana Day celebration will require 15 gallons of water each week to survive. Edward Nyako, reporting for GBC News.
And that was your business news. MTN and QNet sponsored this segment.
You're live on News Hour. Welcome to the Energy segment. My name is Dominic Konoji. The Volta River Authority, VRA, has also planted trees at the degraded Sapas Forest in Akosombo as part of this year's Green Ghana project. For the authority, the exercise is to achieve the needed vegetation around the Volta Lake to maintain the hydrology of the Akosombo Dam. The project has a theme, VRA promoting sustainable development for a green Ghana. The Volta River Authority operates the Akosombo and Bong dams on the Volta Lake. Protecting the vegetation around the river is very important in maintaining the hydrology in the reservoir. Management and staff of VRA planted 600 trees in 2021 to mark its 60th anniversary. In partnership with the Forestry Commission, the authority said this year's exercise aims at rehabilitating parts of the degraded areas of the nearby Sapauso Forest Reserve. The reserve is situated about 200 meters from the Akosombo Dam. Deputy Chief Executive at VRA, Mr. Kenneth Atta, said the exercise is important to VRA because over the past 61 years, maintenance of the Volta Basin and the sustainability of the environment have been uncompromising.
The Sapauso Forest Reserve is considered unique in view of its natural stand of Talbotella genti, an extinct plant which is only found in Ghana. Mr. Hammond, I'm sure I pronounced it well. Thank you. We are of the view that reforesting the Sapauso Forest Reserve will not only be preserving a globally significant biodiversity area, but can also help in improving ecotourism in Akosombo Township. We are providing tree seedlings to the Office of the Forestry Commission in Somanya for them to also support the program. VRA is happy to continue to partner the government of Ghana to affirm its enviable role as a champion of the Greening Ghana agenda.
VRA hopes that the initiative will contribute immensely to the country's climate change mitigation agenda, protect water bodies, beautify the environment, as well as help in achieving Sustainable Development Goal 15. Players in the Ghana upstream petroleum sector have suggested to government to pace cautiously in her attempt to transition to cleaner energy. They advised government to chart her own course without succumbing to pressures from the West. At a stakeholders engagement program organized by the Ministry of Energy, participants highlighted the essence of clean energy in Ghana's energy transition mix, but cautioned government to ensure that the country's hydrocarbons are not stranded.
The meeting observed that Ghana is not ready to use electric vehicles in mass quantities as there are only a few charging stations in the country, and this would make electric car drivers stranded. They added that government must ensure that all arrangements are made and practicalized before electric vehicles are used on commercial scale. Whilst the stakeholders appreciated government's efforts in dealing with the reality of energy transition, the general consensus was that this should be carried out in a sustainable manner and not to put the country at a disadvantage. Nana PJ is from the upstream petroleum sector.
Intensifying exploration for rare earth minerals also, because battery technology, some of these enabling technologies depend on other resources. So in Ghana, there's lithium, but there may be other minerals also. So for example, I would also advise that it may not be a direct, component of the model, but it will enable us to be able to do it if we don't need to import the resources needed from elsewhere.
Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam is Deputy Energy Minister.
The developed world and the developing world must come together to deliver a just transition for Africa, which accounts for the peculiar circumstances of oil-producing countries in our region. We therefore support the efforts being made by the African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, in collaboration with the African Exim Bank, to establish an African Energy Bank to support investment in oil and gas projects.
Government has assured stakeholders that their contributions and suggestions would be taken on board in the formulation of a draft national energy transition plan.
That's it for the energy segment. My name is Dominic Oloji.
Let's do health, brought to you by Lufat. Nurses and midwives who accept posting to rural areas should be given scholarships and other opportunities to update their knowledge and the chance to work in the cities after working for a few years in the villages. Nurses and midwives should also, for their part, accept postings to any part of the country and stay at post to ensure quality healthcare delivery to the public. The Dean of the School of Nursing and Midwifery at the University of Ghana, Professor Lydia Azito, made this appeal at the just-ended 3-day maiden biennial conference of the Nurse and Midwifery Specialists Society of Ghana in Accra.
Ghana's healthcare delivery system needs specialized nurses and midwives. That need became pronounced when the COVID-19 pandemic got to Ghana and put the country's health system to the test. For many Ghanaians living in the rural areas, the nurse or midwife is the only healthcare provider they can interact with or rely on for all their healthcare needs. Even in the urban areas, there is an overwhelming number of patients visiting the hospitals, which calls for the training of more specialist nurses and midwives. As disclosed by the Dean of School of Nursing and Midwives at the University of Ghana, Professor Lydia Azito, specialist nurses and midwives are in short supply across the country, and this has become more disturbing post-pandemic, as many professionals have left the country due to poor living conditions.
I'm very careful to say you should accept posting wherever you are sent. But what I'm trying to say is that, ask yourself, why was I trained? I was trained to care. Where are they sending me? Is there anybody there at all? If the answer is no, I will go there, make the difference for me to shine faster.
In an address, the Assistant National Treasurer for the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Mrs. Irene Mensah Jacobs, said without real and sustained investment in nurses and midwives or the health workforce, government cannot succeed in its primary responsibility of ensuring that the nation is in good health.
There's a commitment that must be written into the heart of the post-pandemic treaty that world leaders are negotiating. The post-pandemic treaty must carry the voices of globally nursing community and midwives, as well as other health professionals, to ensure that as a world we are better prepared the next time round.
And that's it for the health segment, brought to you by Lufat.